Excellent. Now, this is an example of an exam timetable that I've set up for one of my grade 8s. This method for setting up an exam timetable is called the revised 2357 method. Okay, if you would like a copy, a free copy of this template, please, I want you guys at the end of the lesson, I'm going to take a poll on how many of you guys want this. If you do, I'm happy to send it to Watobe and they will distribute it to all of you. I'm just going to explain very quickly how it works. Okay, so if you see here, this is for one of my boys. His name is, we call him Iggy. Okay, he is writing, let's start with his very first exam. Let me see where it is. I think his first exam is on the 22nd. Okay, his first exam is on the 22nd and he's writing maths. Okay, so his maths exam 1 is on the 22nd of November. Now on the next day, he writes revise math 1. So on the next day, before his exam, he needs to revise. Then he's going to count 2. That was revised, we've done revise. Then he's going to count 2 days, 1, 2. On the second day, he must study, 2 days after he must study maths 1. And then he's going to count 3. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, again, study maths 1. And then we're going to count 5 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's study maths 1 again. And then from there, we're going to count 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There. On this day, this is start maths. Start maths. So on this day, on the 4th of November, Iggy needs to make sure that all of his notes are in place. All of his notes, all of his papers, everything that he would need in order to study, all of the sections that he needs to know for each of the subjects. He's got all the material he needs in order to study. And he does this so that throughout the entire study process, he doesn't stop midway to now have to be like, oh yeah, Kanene, I have to go speak to this teacher to get this piece of paper. No, by the 4th of November, he's got every single piece of paper that he needs. Every single textbook, every single exam paper that he wants to study from, you must have that ready on that day, because then that helps him to focus his mind on everything that he needs. He's got everything he needs to study for maths 1 right in front of him. Okay, if you would like a copy of this template, I do have one on my computer. You will tell me at the end of the bootcamp, and I'm happy to send it to everybody who joined us today. All right, without further ado, let's jump straight into the paper 1 topics. Okay. Grade 11 Euclidean geometry, Kamogelo in grade 10, paper 1 or paper 2? It should be paper 2. Okay. Kamogelo, I'll add one difficult question for Euclid for you, but I can't promise that because it's not part of the CAPS document. Okay. All right, let's get started. Now, these are all the topics that we're going to be looking at today. So we need to we need to prepare ourselves for exactly this. Okay, we're going to start timing ourselves. I am 2 minutes over time. Okay, let's go. We're going to start with section A over here, question 1. Now, normally the first section is usually a mark a minute. So if question 1.1.1 is worth 2 marks, you need to be able to solve it within 2 minutes. But because this is section A, we're going to try and cut each of these in half. We're going to try and cut the time in half. This is a 10 mark section. We're going to try and do it in 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to give you exactly 5 minutes from now. It is now 1:12. You have got until 1:18 to finish this section. We're not going to ask for an emoji in the chat. We're not going to ask for a done in the chat. You've just got 5 minutes, starting now. Take it away, 5 minutes. In 5 minutes time, I'm stopping and I'm going through the answers. Okay, take it away, peeps. Please let me know if this is better. All right, that's time, folks. You're going to stop exactly where you are, and we're going to go through these questions very quickly. Okay, so because we're simplifying, I need to take the brackets out of this question over here. So I'm going to multiply this in. Now, I notice already that there's a fraction. I don't like fractions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to punch this into the calculator. Now, I know a over 4 is the same as 1 over 4a. So I'm going to take my 8 multiplied by 1 over 4. It should give me 2. So I should get 2. And then my a times a would give me a squared b. Okay. And then again, a divided by a half, which is what we get over here, would be negative 4ab squared. Those are your 2 marks. One for each expression. One there, one there. Okay, next one. As soon as I see a bracket and an exponent, I need to take that exponent and distribute it to each of these. So the answer I should get out here is 25, because 5 squared will give us 25 there. X to the power of negative 4, y to the power of 6. Now that negative 4 is a negative exponent, so I need to make this into a fraction over 1 and then flip that. Okay, so I should have 25 y to the power of 6 over x to the power of 4. That's the answer I should get. 1 mark for simplifying, 1 mark for the final answer. All right, over here, this part of my equation is a double expression. So we should treat it as such. I need to write the 2 on the outside and then write out 2 brackets, 3x minus 2y and 3x minus 2y. Now, you can either do this, or if you've been taught the shortcut, we know that we're going to take this square, we're going to square this part, square that part, multiply these 2 together and multiply by 2. Okay, either way, you're going to get the same answer. Stephen says, please explain 1.1.2 again. Sure. Okay, so Stephen, when we have a squared on the outside of a bracket over here, right? We should get 2 to the power of, now my 5 over here has an exponent of 1. So that's going to become 5 squared, which is why ma'am has 25 written over here. And then that 2 is just going to multiply with that negative 2. That's why we get x to the power of negative 4 and y to the power of 6. Okay. 1.1.3. Ma'am, isn't 3 to the power of 2 9? Yes, it is. But we are not there yet, my sweetie. We're not there yet, Isabel. Watch what I do. Oh, 1.1.2. Okay, let's have a look again. Faith, what's up? Have I messed up somewhere? I didn't think I did. Hi, Faith. Faith, are you there? Faith? Okay, Faith, I can hear the background. You're just not speaking. So I'm going to mute you for a bit just for the sake of time. When you're ready, please, you can unmute again. Okay, you can unmute again, but you have to speak, my sweetie. Okay. Ma'am, why do you divide by 1? Okay. The reason I put a 1 there, I don't have to actually, but anything with a negative exponent, So the rule says, offense, if I have x to the power of -3, that's the same as 1 over x to the power of +3. So the reason I put it over 1 is so that I can flip them around. I'm going to take that one to the bottom and bring that one to the top. But because we already have numbers at the top, I don't actually have to put it over 1. I just need to put this as a fraction and put the other one at the bottom. Okay, for those of you who are saying, ma'am, please explain 1.1.1, I'm happy to. Right, so I'm going to take this thing here in the middle and rewrite it differently. So let's go over here. Okay, this a to the power, a over 4, I can write as 1 over 4a, minus this b over 2 can be written as 1 over 2b. So now when I take this and I multiply it by 8ab, I'm going to get 8 multiplied by 1/4. Punch that into your calculator, it's going to give us 2. Okay, then if I multiply the second one, 8 multiplied by -1/2 is going to give us -4. Now the a times a will give us a squared, the b will come along. That's why we have 2a squared b over there. And then over here, a times nothing. Then I'll have b times b, which will give us b squared. So I'll end up with ab squared. No, Faith, I still can't hear you, my sweetie. I cannot hear you at all. Please check your mic settings. All right, for those of you who are having problems with 1.1.1, please give me a thumbs up if what I've just done makes sense. Okay. If we're all together on that particular question. Okay. Excellent, good. All right. Those of you who are still confused with 1.1.2, please DM Teacher Nelly. Teacher Nelly, are you okay to explain that one? Okay. I saw somebody ask me, shouldn't we take this any further? No. The idea here is to take the brackets away, so we can't take it further and factorize again. Okay, we just need to take the brackets away. All right, let's continue with 1.1.3. I'm then going to FOIL. I'm going to do top over there, bottom, but I'm going to keep it in the brackets because I still need to multiply that 2 in. So I'm going to have 2 in my brackets. I'm going to get 9x squared minus 3 times -2 will give us 6xy minus 6xy, then -2 times -2 will give me positive 4y squared, right? I then have to multiply that 2 in, distribute the 2 into the bracket, and that's going to give us 18x squared minus 12xy minus 12xy plus 8y squared. Now, these two things are like terms. The -12xy and the -12xy are like terms. So we're going to add them together. I'm going to get negative 18x squared minus 24xy plus 8y squared. Okay. Now, if you did the shortcut over here, it would immediately take you to the thing that you need. Okay, so we were going to have, oh, sorry, Entle. Yes, and I realize I'm actually doing it now. We're going to have 2 on the outside. Now, 3x all squared will give me 9x squared. And then -2y all squared would give me positive 4y squared. And then the middle part, for the middle part, I would have to take 3x multiplied by -2y. That would give me -6xy times 2, which would end up, I would end up with -12xy in the middle. Now, if I then distribute that 2 in, I'm going to end up with that answer over there. Okay. All right. We're a bit on a crunch for time, so I want us to move a little bit faster. All right. Let's look at 1.1.4. Now, whenever I see my exponents or the thing that I'm trying to solve for, my x or my n in my exponents, I automatically know that I'm going to need same bases. I'm going to need same bases so that I can compare exponents. Okay, now the problem that we have over here is that I've got 5 and I've got 2 and I've got 10. None of these look the same. None of my bases look the same, but I know that I can rewrite 10 as 5 times 2. I can rewrite 10 as 5 times 2. So I'm going to leave this first one alone, 5 to the power of n plus 1, multiplied by this one as well, 2 to the power of n minus 1. And then I'm going to take 10 and I'm going to rewrite it as 5 times 2. Now, this 1 minus n, I must now distribute to the 5 and to the 2. So I'm going to end up with 5 to the power of 1 minus n times 2 to the power of 1 minus n. Okay, that's what I'm going to get. Now, my next step, just want to just take that over there. My next step is to compare like bases. So I've got 5 and 5. Guys, when I have like bases being multiplied, I'm going to keep my base and I'm going to add my exponents. So now I've got n plus 1 plus 1 minus x, 1 minus n. So n minus n is going to cancel, and 1 plus 1 is going to give us 2. So I'm going to end up with 5 to the power of 2 multiplied by, now we're going to do the exact same thing for 2. I'm going to keep my base of 2, and we're going to do the exact same thing. N minus n will cancel, but now I've got negative 1 plus 1. That's going to give us 0. And anything to the power of 0 is just 1. So my final answer, 5 squared, is actually 25 times 1, because this whole part over here will equal 1. 25 times 1, 25 times 1 is just going to give us 25. Okay. I just want to check that everybody is with me. Slay Queen, which question? I cannot go to the very beginning. Which question are we looking at that you want me to start again? Because I cannot start all of them again. You have to tell me which one. 1.1.4. I will come back. Yes. In 1.1.5, we need to do the splitting rule. Okay, Slay Queen, I'm going to come back to 1.1.4. Let's quickly go to 1.1.5. Now, guys, if I said to you guys, look at this question over here, the one just beneath it. Let's look at 1.1.5, right? I know that my exponent is over there. My exponent is, or my x is in the exponent. So I know that I'm going to need to have the same base. I've already got the same base everywhere. I've already got the same base everywhere. But the issue here is that there's a plus in between here. There's a plus in the middle. Now, if I say to you guys that I've got 2x squared plus 5x, no, let's make it plus 4x over 2x. What am I going to do on the top so that I can get rid of my denominator? What is our move? In order for me, if I want to cancel the denominator, the numerator, what do I need to do? Before we divide, Jessica, what do we need to do on the top? Correct, Tyrika. We first need to factorize the top, correct? We're going to take 2x out as a common factor on the top, 2x out. And then what I'll have on the top left is x plus 2. I will have x plus 2 at the top left over 2x. Now I can cancel that part and that part. I can cancel. So my answer will end up as x plus 2. Give me a thumbs up if what Tyrika and I have just said makes sense. Are we okay there? I have to factorize the top because there's a plus in the middle. There's a plus in the middle. I have to factorize. So now when we go to our actual question, we've also got a plus in the middle. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to factorize. Okay, now look at the top over here. Look at the top. Do you see how there's a plus in the middle of this thing? If I want to cancel the top with the bottom part, I have to factorize the top. I have to take a 2x out of the top in order for that 2x and the 2x at the bottom to look the same. Then only then can I cancel them. I can't decide that 2x and 2x will cancel and 4x and 2x will cancel and there'll be a 2 left. No, we don't do that. We first have to factorize and then cancel. Those are the steps. We first factorize and then we cancel. Okay, is that making sense, Neil? Are you with me there? We have to factorize and then cancel. Okay, cool. So when we get to this question over here, guys, I'm going to factorize, but the thing that I'm going to factorize out is 5 to the power of x. 5 to the power of x. I'm going to take 5 to the power of x out. But before I can do that, I'm going to split these. So I'm going to rewrite this. Yes, Mfundo, correct. The answer is x plus 2. Because those two have canceled, I've got x plus 2 left. That is the correct answer. Now over here, I'm going to split these first. I'm going to write that first part as 5 to the power of x plus. Now, if I split these two over here, I'm going to split them. I'm going to get 5 to the power of x multiplied by 5 to the power of 2. Give me a thumbs up if what I've just made makes sense. Do we understand why ma'am has written it that way? Am I making sense there? Right, because if I had 5 to the power of x times 5 to the power of 2, my like bases are being multiplied, so I'm going to add my exponents. I would end up with 5 to the power of x plus 2. So I'm doing the opposite of that. So correct, Mawande, I've pulled it apart. Instead of going in this direction, I've gone in the opposite direction. Isayan, is what I'm saying making sense? Okay, now I want you guys in the chat, I want you guys to please split the bottom for me. What would the bottom look like split? If we split it the same way I've split the top, what would the bottom look like? Correct. That's it, guys. Beautiful. We're going to have 5 to the power of x times 5 to the power of minus 1. Be careful, Naledi. It's not just to the power of 1. That's a negative 1 there. So this needs to become 5 to the power of minus 1. Aha. All right, Isayan. Good. We're on the same page. Good. Excellent. Now, I have that plus on the top. What's my next move? What's my next move, guys? When I have that plus on the top, what do I need to do? Yes, Mfundo, it starts with an F. I must factorize. Correct. We must factorize. I'm going to take out a common factor of 5 to the power of x. 5 to the power of x. Now, if I've taken out a 5 to the power of x over here, I've got 1 left. Hand up, Slay Queen. Okay, give me a second. Let me finish up and then we'll take your question. 1 plus, over here, I've got 5 to the power of 2 left. Over, now I've got 5 to the power of x multiplied by 5 to the power of negative 1. Now, my 5 to the power of x and 5 to the power of x are going to cancel each other out. They're going to cancel. That and that will cancel. Now, this part over here doesn't have a variable. It doesn't have an x anymore. It doesn't have any variable like an x or a y or an a. Pick up your calculator and put that into your calculator exactly the way you see it. Give me an answer. Don't even bother with being like 5 to the minus 1 equals 1 over 4, 5. No, do none of that. Pick up your calculator, punch it into your calculator, get an answer, move on with life, guys. Slay Queen, what's your answer? What's your question? Beautiful.
Sorry, ma'am. What would happen if we took 5 to the x minus 1 like straight up, like instead of like doing like the whole process of like splitting it up at the bottom?
Okay, it's not going to work, my sweetie, because what you would have to do is multiply this part by 5 to the minus 1 and this part by 5 to the minus 1, because this thing still has a plus in the middle. So you would have to distribute that 5 to the power of minus, actually it won't be minus 1 anymore if it comes to the top. It will just be 5 to the,
because that's what I was also thinking.
Okay, so but because this whole thing still has a plus in the middle, the top part still has a plus, We would then
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
distribute the 5 to each term, okay, which makes it a
And it
lot
wouldn't
more.
give us the same answer.
We would end up with the same answer, yes, correct.
Okay.
It would just
Well,
end up
thank
really
you so much.
complicated. Okay, good question.
Thank you so much.
You can actually do that 100%. The answer that we should get out is 130, correct. Buntle, what's up, my sweetie?
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Ma'am, I just want to say to you that for number 1.1.2, the way I wrote it, always in exams, I always like, I don't know if I could say split it or what, because they is to the power of -2. So I always write it like in 2 brackets, each of them. So I want to ask that, because you did it way too different. So for number 1.1.2, do we only write it in like 2 brackets only when there's a 2 in front, or?
No, if there's a plus or a minus. Okay, so here's the difference. Let's look at the difference between 1.1.2 and 1.1.3. Now, in point 2, this whole thing is one term because everything is being multiplied to itself. Do you see that? This is 5 times x to the -2 times y to the power of 3. They're all being multiplied. Do you see that?
Yes,
They're all
ma'am.
multiplied to each other. So all we have to do is just distribute. We don't have to split them up. Now, in the next one, there's a minus in between. So this is one term and this is another term. So in this case, we need to rewrite it twice.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
If you do it that way in this first one, you'll get to the same answer. There'll be no issues. You will still get to the same answer. You'll just be taking the long way around for just 2 marks.
Okay.
Which really isn't worth it, but you can do it that way. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. You won't be wrong, my sweetie. You'd get your marks. You would have just gone the long way around. Okay. All right. Let's get to the next section. Okay. Over here, guys, this is worth 9 marks. You've got 4 minutes for this section. It's worth 9 marks. We are just factorizing. Okay. Now, the easiest thing for me to do when I get to the factorized section to make sure I don't forget anything is I'm going to check all my boxes. I'm going to be like, I know that somewhere there's going to be an HCF type of factorization, or there's going to be dots, or there'll be a trinomial, or there'll be a cube, or there'll be a common bracket. I'm going to be checking for all of these things as I factorize. Or there's going to be grouping, but I know there's not going to be grouping because there's not 4 or more terms. So you guys can choose which of those you've got. You've got 4 minutes starting now. Take it away. I saw Isayan asking me, ma'am, do you think it would be a good idea to go through all the videos on the website for grade 10? No, you're going to be wasting your time, as we. If you're having trouble with a particular concept, yes, go to that concept. But your best friend is your textbook. Okay. When we don't understand something, we use the exercises in our textbook to learn it. And then once we understand it, then we go to past papers. Okay. But if the explanation in your textbook isn't helping you to understand the concept, then you go watch the video. Once you've watched the video, you open your textbook, do the exercise until you fully understand. When you fully understand, then you go to exam papers. Okay. All right, peeps, that's time. Okay. Let's start looking at this first one over here. All right, so the first one that we would factorize over here would need HCF. I can tell that the HCF over here is going to be 6a, so I need to take 6a out as a common factor. So 6a, open brackets, over there, I'm going to end up with p squared minus 8p minus 2. Okay, and that's all we would have. Guys, remember to stay muted, please. Okay, that's the first one. Now, in the second one over here, it's also HCF. I know that they have y in common. So we're going to take an HCF of y, of 3y out, actually. Yes, Mfundo, correct. We're going to take 3y out as a common factor.
Yes, it's 6, not 2, the last term. Well done, Mfundo.
Teacher Nels, how is it 6? If I divide here by 6, I'm going to get 2 out.
Oh, it's like 6 is the, oh, sorry. Yeah, it's 2, sorry. Not 6.
Yeah, it's 2. Okay, Mfundo, we're subtracting, not minusing. Okay, and we're dividing, not subtracting. Okay. Yes, Keegan, ask your question in the chat for me, please. I'm going to take 3y out over here, and then I'm going to get x squared minus 9 left. Now, this here in the middle is dots. Okay, this is dots. So I'm going to factorize again. So I'll have 3y, open 2 brackets, x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay. In the last one over here, if you did a trinomial method, but you wrote p squared minus 8p minus 2 somewhere, but continued, will they mark it right? I'm afraid, Keegan, okay, sorry, these birds are being so loud. Let me close my door. I'm afraid, Keegan, that you wouldn't be able to find any factors of 2 that are going to give you -8. There is no way that you're going to find any, because the only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Okay, whether you make that one negative, whether you make that one negative, we're never going to get to -8. Okay, so that's not going to work. That's not going to work. We can only take out a common factor, and then that trinomial doesn't factorize. It does not factorize, guys. Okay, remember, guys, when we are factorizing, the last term must add to give us the middle term. And there's no way that we can possibly add 2 to get to 8. It's not going to work at all. It's not going to happen. Okay, so we cannot say that that trinomial will factorize. It will not. Okay, it will not factorize at all. So we need to keep it there. We're just going to have -8p minus 2. All right. Okay, can I look at the last one? Please give me a thumbs up if what I've just explained makes sense. Okay, this last one over here has an HCF of 2. This has an HCF of 2. So I'm going to take 2 out as a common factor. I will show you now in Klamulo. I will show you now. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 out, and then I'm going to have x cubed plus 8, which makes this a cube. It's a sum of 2 cubes. So I'm going to then take the 2 out and open a small bracket and a big bracket. And then I'm going to cube root both of these. So I'm going to get x plus 2 in my first bracket. And then I'm going to square this number and square that number. That's first and last term. I'm going to get x squared plus 4 over here. X squared will give us x squared. 2 squared will give us 4. And in the middle, I'm going to multiply these two. X times 2 will give me 2x, but the opposite sign. So I would get a negative 2x there. Okay, I just want to double check with everyone. Okay, if you did not get the correct answer, do we know why? Give me a yes or a no in the chat. Okay, and while I do that, Nkamulo, here is your breakdown of the marks. Taking out that over there, and then 2 marks for what is left in the bracket. Okay, in this one over here, you're going to get a mark for taking out the common factor of 3y, and a mark for that, and a mark for that. Okay, in this last one over here, again, a common factor of 2 taken out, and then 1 mark for taking out the small bracket, 1 mark for the big bracket. All right, okay. For those of you saying no, I need you to pop your questions in the chat so that we can address them. Okay, pop them in the chat. Everyone else, 1.2.3. Again, Rea Morata, there is no way that I'm going to add, actually I can. Can we not factorize this? No, we can't. No, okay. There is no way for us to factorize 4 in a way that's going to give us 2. It's not going to work, Rea Morata. What numbers were you thinking of? It's not going to work. Remember, the factors of 4 are 1 and 4, and the other are 2 and 2. Now, doesn't matter which way I skim this cat, it's not going to work. Okay. Does the way in 1.2.3 work in other questions, or should I be aware of anomalies? There are no anomalies, Mawande. That particular method works across the board for cubes. Okay, the method that I just used for cubes is the one that you use for sum and difference, all across. Okay. Kialaboka says, ma'am, why are we taking 2 out as a common factor? Because that's the first thing, guys, remember when we were doing factorization, we started talking about the default setting. Who remembers the default setting? The default thing that we always need to do is look for a highest common factor. Every single time. The thing we do first when we are factorizing is we take out a highest common factor. Okay, that's number 1 rule. We always take out a highest common factor. And that's why each of these questions will always have a highest common factor first. Okay. Yes, we will just go on. Okay, remember guys, we're going to send this paper to you. I'll speak to Christine, teacher knows. Okay, because I made this paper last night. So we will send this to you. I'm going to skip this section for now because I want us to actually get into a little bit of finance, and I want us to get into functions. I want us to do functions because that's the most important thing that I want you guys to take out of today. Functions and probability. So we're going to skip the rest of algebra. I'm going to send this paper to you, and then you guys can try the rest by yourselves. Okay. Any of you who would like to stay past past 2:30, I'm happy to take your questions past 2:30. But then you're going to have to stay behind. We will not be recording that section. All right. I want to give you guys a chance to test for this. Remember, guys, just read the question. Okay. I need to take this out. This is not quarterly. This should be annually. I forgot this is grade 10 and not grade 11. Annually, per annum, compounded annually. Yes, Bundle, I've got the memorandum. We will send that to you as well. Okay. All right. This is 10 minutes. But again, guys, it is section A, so it should take you a lot less because you're just plugging things in and getting an answer. Now, they usually should give you, formulae for this. So I'm going to give you your simple interest formula, 1 plus I multiplied by n, and your compound interest formula, 1 plus I to the power of n. All right, take it away, guys. You've got 5 minutes. Okay. Let me just see what's happening in the chat. Okay, let me go back. Okay. For those of you, yes, Jessica was asking, do we divide 16? Yes, we do. Oh, Kimotoko, if you've done quarterly at school, then you are more than welcome to use quarterly. Okay. I will do both calculations for you. I will do both calculations. So if you've been taught compounding periods at school, please use quarterly. Mawande, what's up?
Hi, ma'am. This is a question for 3.1. So is this like 7 years? So it's like 10 years, right? Or is it 7
No,
only?
it's
7
7
only.
years. Just something different happens after 3 years.
Oh, okay.
You're
Oh,
going
thank
to
you.
do two separate calculations. We're not going to get two answers. It's just at the 3-year mark, you're going to get an answer and you're going to use that answer to get to the 7-year mark, which means there are 4 years.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right. By the looks of it, I might not do probability and finance in my paper one because we're still doing Euclidean geometry. We're still behind and we're starting in 2 weeks. Kamogelo, your school is not the one, hey? Because probability and finance are metric concepts and they can't be out here just deciding to play around with your year. Yes, Kimotoko, I'm happy to help you with that. Okay.
Teacher Coco, for compound here, they don't divide the interest here, like the grade 10s, do they?
No, that's why I'm saying Kimotoko says she's learned it, but nobody else is. The compounding periods are for grade 11 in caps. I just forgot that our boys do it in grade 10. So I've got to take it out. Okay. Oh my gosh, guys. Yes, Mawande, we always round off to 2 decimal places because it's money, rands and cents. Isayan, don't worry about the monthly and the quarterly part. Just use annually. Just use the normal formula, okay? Yeah, it completely slipped my mind when I was putting this together. Sorry, peeps. We don't do compounding periods in grade 10. I'll have to take that out before we send this paper out. Okay, all right. That's time. And I know we're all probably, and let me give you 3 extra minutes. I know we're all probably a little frustrated, but we're going to work on this. Something of the sort. Yes, Kimukuru, but that's also a grade 11 concept. All right, peeps, we're going to call it. Okay, if you're not done, that's perfectly fine. We will get into the answer in just a little bit so you can follow along as I go. All right, so it says here, Mr. Buyer invests 90,000 Rand into a savings account that offers an interest rate of 6.5% per annum. And I know we're just going to go compounded annually so we can use the compound formula. After 3 years, the interest rate changes to 7% per annum compounded. If you know how to use the quarterly and the monthly, go ahead and use it, but we're going to use annually. Now, two things are going to happen. He's going to keep his money in this account for the first 3 years. So we're going to calculate for how much he has at the 3-year mark. So that's the first thing we're going to do. A is equal to 90,000, open brackets, 1 plus 6.5% is 0.065. You can write that as 6.5 over 100, or you can write it as 6.5%. It's not going to change the answer. All of that to the power of 3. Now, the answer we should get out here is 108,715.47, round up, Mfundo, 0.47. This is how much we have at the 3-year mark. Now, the question says, calculate how much he will have in his account for 7 years. Now, we're only at 3 years, and this is how much he has in his account, but now the interest range changes. So this goes from A to my new P for my new calculation. So I'm then going to take this amount and go A is equal to 108,715,47, open brackets, 1 plus, my new interest rate is 7%, so 0.07. But we're at year 3, we are going to year 7. There are 4 years left, correct, Mfundo? So to the power of 4. Okay, and that should give us our next answer, which at the end, Mr. Buyer should have 142,503.80 cents in his account. Give me a thumbs up if what I've just done makes sense. Are we all good here? Okay, this should be easy enough. Stephen, where have I lost you? Let me know where I've lost you so I can come fetch you. Okay, type it in the chat and Teacher Nels will gladly fetch you with her wheelbarrow. Oh, yes, sorry, don't forget the R for rands. Sorry, yes, rands. Tarika, we use the compound formula because the question says compounded and compounded. So if the reason we know to use the compound interest formula is because they tell us. If it didn't say that, we would then use simple interest. Okay, the question says compounded, so we use the compound interest formula. All right. Okay, when it comes to this next question, I see, Lesedi, it's perfectly fine. All right, this next question over here is a hire purchase question. It says, Alfred wants to buy a laptop on hire purchase. Now, hire purchase is calculated over simple interest. So we're definitely going to use the simple interest formula over here. It says the cost of the laptop is 12,000 Rand. He is required to pay a deposit of 10% and the interest charged is 8% per annum and the repayment period is 3 years. Calculate the monthly repayment. Now, for those of you who were here, I think Teacher Kirsty took them through this. Yes, I wasn't here for hire purchase. She must have taken you guys through that. So first thing we're going to do, rule number 1, we're going to calculate the deposit. That's our first rule, calculate the deposit. Second rule is we're going to subtract the deposit from the original amount that the laptop costs. And then that amount that we get after subtracting, that is our p-value that we're going to put into the formula. So let's start by calculating for 10% of 12,000 Rand. So we're going to go 10% times 12,000 Rand, punch that into your calculator, that's going to give you 1,200 Rand. Then we're going to take that 1,200 Rand, subtract it from 12,000. So 12,000 Rand minus 1,200 Rand would give us 10,800 Rand. This is our new p-value in the simple interest formula. So we will then go A is equal to 10,800, open brackets, 1 plus our interest rate, which is 8%, so 0.08 times 3. Put that into a calculator, get an answer. 8% times 3 would give us 13,392 Rand. But the question wants monthly repayments. And we know that this is over 3 years. So how many months is that going to be, guys? If it's over 3 years, that's going to be 36 months, correct, Ethan? 36. So we're going to take this amount and divide by 36 to get the monthly repayments. Okay. And the monthly repayment should be 372 Rand. All right. Okay, where did we lose you? I'm seeing 2 people say, ma'am, I'm very lost. Please explain. You can put your hand up. I'm happy to explain that section. All of 3.2. Okay, let's follow the process. Give me a yes in the chat. Do you understand that they're charging Alfred a 10% deposit on 12,000 Rand? Give me a yes in the chat. Excellent. So how much is 10% of 12,000 Rand? 10% of 12,000 Rand is 1,200 Rand. Correct, it's 1,200. So when he pays them this 1,200, he doesn't owe the bank 12,000 Rand anymore. He's already paid them 1,200 Rand of that. So we must minus that from what he owes the bank. So he doesn't owe the bank 12,000, he owes them 10,800 Rand. Okay, now after that, they're still going to charge him interest on the loan that he's taken out. And the interest that they charge him is 8% per annum. Okay, give me a yes if what I just said makes sense. Good. Now, hire purchase is always calculated over simple interest. And because he'll be paying the loan off in 3 years, we're going to use the simple interest formula, and we're going to use 3 years with 0.08 or 8% as our interest rate, right? And if we put that into the formula, the amount that comes out is 13,392. That's how much he owes the bank. But he's going to pay that off over 36 months, over 3 years, which means 36 months. So we need to take this amount and divide by 36. Have you got me there? Okay, I hope we're all together there. Beautiful, excellent. All right, let's do a little bit of sequence and series, and then we're going to end off with some functions. And we're definitely going to go over time. I'm sorry, teacher Nels, if you need to go somewhere at 2:30, I'm happy for you to bounce. Okay. All right, let's get into some sequence and series, guys. These questions are quite easy. I haven't made them difficult at all. They are base questions. Maybe 4.2 might be reaching a little, but just read through the questions and let me know how we do. That was not my intention. Okay. You have, let's just see the mark allocation for this section. Did I not put a mark allocation? Yes, I did. Of course I did. I did. There's the mark allocation. Okay. No, I didn't. Did I? No, I didn't. Haibo, teacher Coco, what's gotten into you? Next week, Saturday, Ramorata. 1, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14. So this is 14 marks. You've got 7 minutes, peeps. You've got 7 minutes. And some of these questions, like, guys, 1 mark questions, come on. That takes 10 seconds to answer. So we've got more than enough time. Okay, Keegan, if you've never done patterns, skip it. Skip it and keep moving. Okay. If you've never done, okay, if you haven't done geometric patterns, do 4.2. If you haven't done it, do 4.2, peeps. Okay. In fact, I'm getting quite a lot of sames. Okay.
We also haven't done it, like we're starting it this week, right?
Yes, we're going to start it on Monday. All right, everybody, let's skip 4.1. Let's move straight on to 4.2. That's 4, 6, 8. That means you've got 4 minutes instead of 7. We've only got 4 minutes. Do 4.2. You've got 4 minutes. This is an arithmetic sequence, which is the easy patterns. So take it away. That's very weird, though, teacher knows. I don't know how they haven't done that as yet. Some people are already writing exams, so that's why I'm like, how? Fundo. Okay, we'll discuss strategy in just a second. That's okay, Life. Just take a break. Take a 4-minute break. We'll come back.
Yeah, ma'am, these questions are like grade 11 and 12 level.
Wow. Okay, now this question, this one here.
In grade 10, all they do is find the general term.
I've taken this out of my grade 10 boys textbook.
Remember, your boys always do things that are done in the next grade, like accelerated.
But this comes from the grade 10 CAPS textbook.
This one?
Yeah.
Because even sometimes some schools, they don't use the general formula for arithmetic sequence, the TN plus C.
Yeah, but they can use DN plus C. It's not beyond us.
Like, will they know that what they need to do? Because it's like simultaneous equations and stuff.
All right. Okay. Maybe let's park this one. Okay. Let me just take a poll quickly. Give me a.
Maybe you can just do it for them.
Just type in the chat. Have you done sequences like this before? Yes or no? Let me know. So because if not, then we're going to skip it altogether and let's go to functions, guys. Okay. That's too many no's. Okay. For those of you who are like linear sequences, this question over here is a linear sequence because it's arithmetic, right? Arithmetic means linear. So the formula you would use here is Tn is equal to Dn plus C. That's the formula you would use. Okay, so let's skip it, completely skip it. Let's go to functions. All right, I want you guys to read this section over here. I didn't know. I know, Mawande, guys. Okay, it says here, determine the equation of each of the equation of each of the following graphs. Okay, we're going to do this part over here. Let's start with 5.1. You've got 3 minutes for 5.1, and then I'm going to move. Oh, I see, Ethan. Yes. Okay. All right. I understand. But that's why it was my second question, not my first. My first question was a lot easier than the second one. But yeah, if we haven't done it, that's fine. Let's work on functions, which is where I originally wanted to start to begin with. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, with this particular question about 4.1, I don't understand how the gaps between, because this is...
Okay, it's a straight line, isn't it, my sweetie? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So we know we must use y is equal to mx plus c. Are we in agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Do you know how to calculate for the gradient?
I sort of know, because this is where I struggle a lot in my test.
Cool. All right, and this is why we're here. All right, the gradient is going to be y2 minus y1 or x2 minus x1. So you've got 2 points. Yes, we've got that one and that one.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So we're going to name this one over here x1 and y1. We're going to name this one x2 and y2. And you're just going to go to the formula for the gradient and you're going to substitute in the values and you're going to give me an answer for m. Okay? Give me an answer for m, my student.
Okay, ma'am.
All right.
So I2 is going to be -4.
So we're going to go -4 minus
4 minus 4.
Good. Over.
I'm going to see 0 minus -2. It's going to be bracket -2, bracket close.
Good. Good. All right. So at the top, we're going to get -4 minus 4 will give us?
-8.
Good. -8 over?
-8 over 2.
Over 2. Positive 2, correct? Yes, because minus and minus will give us a plus. Yeah.
Plus.
So what's the final answer there?
It's gonna be what? It's gonna be 2. It's gonna be 4 over.
Yeah, -8 divided by 2.
Ouch.
-8 over 2. Punch it into your calculator. If
it's -4. It's -4.
Correct, -4. So we're going to go back to this equation over here and we're going to replace that m with -4. Right, okay, so we're going to go over here and we're going to put -4 over here. Now this c value is always called, it's called my y-intercept. And my y-intercept is where my graph cuts the y-axis. Now I know that this is my y-axis and this is my x-axis. So where my graph cuts the y-axis over there, what's that point over there? It's?
It's -4.
-4. So we're just going to replace c with -4. That's all. And then we're done. Okay, now y is going to equal to -4.
Okay, ma'am.
That's the answer we're looking for. Did you follow the process that ma'am used now?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Good.
Thank you very much.
Keep asking those questions, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, and thanks to Jessica, we've just all gotten the answer there. All right, we're going to give you 1 mark for figuring out the gradient, 1 mark for the y-intercept. In fact, no, 2 marks for the gradient and 1 mark for the final answer because the y-intercept is right where we are. Okay. Oh, Teacher Nels, are you asking if we were not given a y-intercept, what would we do in that case?
Yeah, because Suella was asking. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's say, for instance, guys, that they didn't give us the y-intercept, right? If they didn't give us this point, how would we then find C? Now, here's the thing. They have given us a point, right? So at the moment, what we would have is y is equal to -4x plus c. So now what we would do is we would replace each of these values in our formula. I know that this is x. X is -2. So I'm going to go over here and replace x with -2. And this is y. And I'm going to go replace y with 4. And then I can solve for c. So I'm going to end up with 4 is equal to -4 multiplied by -2 plus c. So now I've got 4 over there. 4 is equal to -4 times -2 is going to give me +8 plus c. And then I'm going to move the 8 over to the other side and it's going to become negative. So I will have 4 minus 8 is equal to c. 4 minus 8 is -4. -4 is equal to C. All right. And that's how we get that -4 over there. But that is if they don't give you the part where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, if they don't give you the point where it crosses the y-axis, then you can use the sub-in formula, the sub-in method, sub-in. Okay, give me a thumbs up if what I've just done makes sense. Okay. Yeah, for those of you who are still struggling with functions, guys, I think there are about six questions that we did. I mean, 6 lessons on the website where we go through graphs. I want you guys to go have a look at those again, please. Okay, watch them, follow the examples, pause where you need to, rewind where you need to, because we go through this in detail. Okay, exactly the way I've just done it here. That's how I go through it in those lessons that we did. They're all available on our website. If not, who taught grade 10 last year? Teacher Jen. Teacher Jen also did this last year. They're all on our YouTube channel. You can go have a look at how Teacher Jen does it as well. Okay. Paper 2, yes. Volume is in paper 2. Okay. All right, peeps. Let's have a look at this one. Okay. This graph over here is a hyperbola. Okay, I'm going to help you guys out by giving you the formula. Y is equal to A over X plus Q. Now, I'm going to be nice. This particular question doesn't have a plus Q. We are only trying to find A. Okay. That's why it's only worth 2 marks. It's only worth 2 marks. Find me A. Yes, 100%. You see that thing that I just did at the end, Mawande, where we didn't have C? You're going to use that same idea to solve for A here. Beautiful, Swella. I knew this was going to be quite easy. All right. I should have put a harder one in, I feel. Maybe I should have put one with P with a Q in. Would have been easy. All right. So I know that if we're looking for A, guys, we're going to substitute an X and a Y. Pick one. You can either use the one at the bottom or the one at the top. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use the one at the top. I'm going to sub in -3 and 3, right? So my Y value is going to be 3 and my X value is going to be -3. So I'm going to have 3 is equal to A over -3. And then if I want to solve for A, I'm going to multiply both sides by -3. Therefore, A is equal to -9. So Y is equal to -9 over X. Give me a thumbs up if that's the answer you got. Keegan, where did we lose you? Ooh, everywhere doesn't help. Everywhere doesn't help because we can't fetch you from everywhere. Okay, Kimotoko, if you got the same answer but did it in a different way, you need to let us know what you did. Okay, you need to let us know what you did. All right, okay. Keegan, it's on the drawing. I've given it to you on the drawing. Okay, it's on the drawing. We just need to substitute in. Even if you used that one, you would still get the same answer. Yes, Kimotoko. Hello, my sweetie. Kimotoko. Hello. Okay, I'm not getting anything from you, my sweetie. I'm going to have to move. Okay, please check your mic settings and then you can raise your hand again and then we can unmute you. Okay. All right, here's your next challenge, peeps. Let's look for the equation of this one. I'm going to remind you guys, the equation for this, y is equal to ax squared plus q. Okay. All right, just to remind you all, where do we find q? Who knows what is q? What is the q value? It's on the graph already. Correct, Mawande. Good. It's the y value of the turning point. Correct, Stephen. Good. We've already got q. Find me a, please. Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll go back to it as soon as we're done with this question. Okay. Just finish up this question and then I'll go back. That's a good question, Teacher Nels. Very, very good question. I'm wondering who's going to figure it out. Well, I'm sure they all know. Yeah. Well done, Buhle. That's it, Mawande. Excellent work. That's it, Jessica. Excellent, Kamogelo. Good stuff. Okay. So if you don't get a negative answer out, you know somewhere. Negative equals correct. Yes, Yanda, correct. Buntle, I will. I absolutely will. Yes. All right, let's have a look at this question here, guys. All right, so we automatically know by looking at our graph that our Q is going to be 4 because that's the turning point. The Q is the value of the turning point. So we already have y is equal to ax squared plus 4. Now I want to calculate for a. How do I get rid of that x and that y? What do I do, guys? Same thing we've done for all the other questions. What am I going to do? We're going to sub in a point. Correct, Isabel. We're going to sub in. Now, I can't use this point. I've just used it over there. And if I use this point, I'm going to end up with 4 equals 4, which doesn't help us at all. So I need to use the other point that they've given us. They've given us another point for a reason. So we're going to sub in the point 3 and negative 5. My y value is going to be the negative 5, and my 3 value will be the x value, or my x value will be 3. So I'm going to say negative 5 is equal to a multiplied by 3 squared plus 4. Right, so my 4 will go over to the other side and become negative. So now I've got negative 5 minus 4 is equal to a multiplied by 3 squared, which is 9. And now I'm noticing that my a and my 9 look exactly the same. I'm going to put a little squiggly line to it at the end. All right. Negative 5 minus 4 is going to give me negative 9 is equal to 9a. Divide both sides by 9. And now I'm dividing by a. Yeah, teacher Coco. Divide by 9. Therefore, a is equal to negative 1. Correct. You should get a negative answer because our graph is frowning. Therefore, y is equal to negative 1x squared plus 9. Now, you don't have to put the negative 1 there. You could just say negative x squared plus 9. Give me a thumbs up if we all got this answer. If not, please make sure that we're following this exact process. Oh, sorry. No, plus 4. Sorry, plus 4, plus 4. In my head, Haibo. In my head, it makes sense because there was just a 9. There was just a 9 a second ago. Yes, thank you, Isabel. Plus 4. Plus 4. Correct. Sorry, Isabel. Thank you for pointing that out. Plus 4. All right. Excellent work, guys. Excellent. All right. We are officially out of time. Now, I want you guys to note that the pace that we've just worked at is the pace that your mind needs to be at in the exam room. Okay. And we've taken our times. I'm taking the times. We've taken our time, guys, which isn't a good thing. We should not be taking our time on the easy questions. So here is, if you haven't written your exams just yet, here is your homework. You are going to go and grab a textbook and all of this algebra, this simplify, these exponents, these equations, you are now going to go and you're going to do them over and over and over again, because these are all section A. And section A, number 1, should be a breeze. Like you should fly through section A like that. And number 2 should not give you any hassles. You shouldn't get to a part of this particular part of the question or the paper that is difficult for you. Maybe one question, Yana, yeah. One here or there, yes. But in essence, you should be able to pick up 50% of your paper from the first 4 or 5 questions. All right. From the first 4 or 5 questions.